Yes, I just showed my age. It's 8 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Uh, Mine are adults, so I don't care. I do care. Hey, good morning and welcome to Pondering. I am your host, Pastor Joel. It's time to ponder. It's time to think through things. We love doing this every weekday now from 8 to 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Facebook on the Pondering Radio page, also on demand through multiple podcast media and venues, and of course on demand at our Facebook page as well. We welcome you. What do we do on the show? We think about stuff and we talk about it. We do so from an unabashedly, unashamedly, and unapologetically Christian perspective. We do this again every weekday from 8 to 8:30 a.m. And we encourage Christians to think and to let their faith be the basis for their decisions in every aspect of life. Not just on Sunday, not just at church, but at work, in the voting booth, etc. And we encourage everyone, Christian and non-Christian, to think about stuff. Don't swallow whole what we hear in the news, because sometimes it's just frankly not true, or partially true, or true with a slant. And so we encourage that. Good morning, Susie. She says I froze. I don't know why. It hasn't frozen on this end. I'm going to check something here real quick. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that's not the case for everybody else, because I cannot tell on my end. But listen, for those of you listening and hopefully watching, we're going to, as we said yesterday, kind of start a new format here in Pondering, where we begin with a little study of a verse and then tie that into world events and kind of the stuff we're going through. And today, I want to take a look at a passage in 1 Corinthians. Now, our Monday night life group has been going through 1st and 2nd Corinthians. We're three-quarters of the way through 2nd Corinthians as we speak. And we covered this passage, therefore, several weeks ago. But I was thinking about it this morning. I think it came up in my devotional reading. And it just got me kind of, churning and burning in the old brain about, what's happening in our world and here in the U.S. So let's take a look at it. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 12 through 14. And Fred, good morning to you, by the way. I see you're on, my friend. It's great to have you. Let me know if I'm still frozen. Maybe you can't let me know because you're frozen, therefore you don't hear me. But let me know if I'm not frozen. Maybe I'll put it that way. We've had some real issues lately. Yeah, there it goes, trying to reconnect. I don't know why. So what I'm going to do is get rid of the Wi-Fi and see if that helps. Sometimes the connection through Verizon is better than the connection with our Wi-Fi. So not yet. All right, well, those of you on podcast, bear with us. We're trying to reconnect here. Here we go. Hopefully that works better. I got rid of the Wi-Fi. Sometimes that helps. So hopefully we're back. Here we go. All right, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, starting in verse 12. Paul says, if you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall. In other words, if you get cocky, you're in danger. But there's more to it than that, right? Be ready at all times. Be prepared. Don't be overconfident. Enjoy whatever position you're in terms of growth, maturity, development, but be aware of the fact that you're human. Be aware of the fact that things can change. Circumstances beyond your control could change. So be prepared to face whatever might be next. It's when we think we're impervious that we're most at risk. All right, so then he says the temptations in your life are no different from what others experience, and God is faithful. He'll not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you're tempted, he'll show you a way out so you can endure. And sometimes I think people take that to mean that he won't let anything bad happen, or not really bad, because we couldn't handle something really bad. Well, first let's note that he's talking about temptation to sin, temptation to give in to your own, human nature, temptation to lash out in anger, temptation to act out in lust, temptation to do whatever, overdrink, overeat, whatever it might be. He's not necessarily saying that this is relating to circumstances like a virus, a pandemic, or something outside your control, like a riot that might break out on the street when you're driving through the city, or whatever it might be. Um, Not to say that God doesn't protect and bless and help us through those things too, but I think a lot of times Christians read this as, "Oh, that's good news. God's not going to let anything bad happen." It doesn't say that. It's talking not necessarily about good and bad events and circumstances as much as it is about temptation uh, from our hearts and from within us to do something or think something and act on something that's contrary to what God wants. So, and so he also says he's not going to let you be tempted beyond what you really can bear, and he's also going to make you what? He's going to show you a way out so you can endure. Now that seems like a contradictory phrase. He'll show you a way out so you can still endure it. In it. What? Wait a minute. I just want out. I don't want to endure anything. I just want you to get me out of it. Show me the way. I'll run out. It's over. Right? Isn't that what we think? Typically, it's what I think. To be honest. But I'll tell you a couple thoughts here. First of all, God knows us better than we know ourselves. Many times I've said to God, I know you say you won't tempt me beyond what I'm able to bear, but I think your impression of what I can bear is a lot more than mine. I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't. And there are times, it's just like a kid, right? You ask your kid to clean their plate. Oh, I can't. I just eat one spoonful of applesauce. I watch this with my granddaughters, right? Or whatever it is. I just picked applesauce randomly, but whatever it is. I can't. Oh, I can't. Oh, yucky. Oh, I'm going to throw up. Oh, I can't do it. And eventually, listen, if you want dessert, we're having ice cream, we're having chocolate cake and ice cream. But if you don't want any, that's fine. You don't have to eat it. You don't have to try the applesauce. But if you do, you might be able to have some chocolate cake and ice cream. Eventually, they give up and they swallow a spoonful. Sorry about that. It keeps hanging on me here today. I'm going to have to find a better spot or better signal. Anyway, so eventually they give up. They eat the applesauce and they're fine. And we're kind of like that too. God, I can't take it. I can't take it. Oh, okay. And then we usually kind of get through it and we're all right. But I want to point out that it really, I think the NLT has it right in their translation of this, that he'll show us a way out so we can bear up under it. I remember years ago being fed up with my job. This is before I was in ministry. Fed up with the company, fed up with the stress, fed up with the schedule, fed up with the pressure, and I wanted out. I was, the products, the service. I was a sales rep in Buffalo, and the company I worked for, I'd been with a while, and I was just done. And I got a call from a recruiter, and he was talking about an opportunity in the same territory with a different company, and it sounded really good. In fact, better money, better product set, a lot of positives. And he told me that I was a prime candidate for that job, and that if I wanted it, we could talk more. And I said I would like to discuss it further, and so, we hung up. And I remember just feeling such a surge of energy and peace, excitement, yes, at the same time. And over the next several days, I noticed that I didn't hate my job as much. Sort of the light at the end of the tunnel that said I could possibly do this other thing made the current thing seem better. Isn't that weird? I was shown a way out so that I could bear up under such that, maybe it wasn't that for that purpose, but the result was I could bear up under what I was already in. And sometimes that's the case. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, we realize it's not a train, and we're able to keep walking. And I think that's, at least in part, what Paul's talking about. As opposed to just getting us out of it, it's that we see there is going to be an end, and we can bear up under it. So he says in verse 14, my dear friends, flee from the worship of idols. Now, why does he throw that in there? And he continues in context. But and I would argue that the rest of this context about the Lord's Supper and how people approached it from their pagan background ties into idolatry. But so does the first part, meaning we often look to other sources of relief besides God. And anything we look to besides God can quickly become an idol. Whether it's science, whether it's other people, friends, family, our spouse, anything, anyone can be in place of God. And if they're our go-to person, our go-to solution, it could be something bad like illicit drugs or whatever, sex outside marriage. Who knows? It could be all kinds of stuff, right? It doesn't always have to be something bad, though, in and of itself. It's just that we've put it in the place of God. Instead of turning to Him, we're turning to it to get us through. And that's why I think idolatry is a natural segue for Paul in this context. All right, so what's the point? How does that tie into today? Well, we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's bad news on the radio and TV every day. People are fed up with it. I'm fed up with it. I'm tired of it, right? And it's just, ugh. And now, things open, then they want to close them, then they want to open, then they want to close them, then they want to open them, but we got to wear masks, gloves, and bubble wrap, and everybody's just, ugh, and tired of hearing the death numbers, although survivability rate, even using the numbers given to us, which we know they're not completely accurate, and the CDC itself has said that. But even with their numbers, which are inflated to some degree, we're still talking about a 97% survival rate worldwide. I can't speak today. Hold on. There we go. I'm better now. 97% survival rate worldwide. I mean, that's the number. You can look it up. So my point is that, when we get to this point of being fed up, we're done. You hear people say that. As Christians, we need to go to 1 Corinthians 10. We need to recognize that, hey, God's not going to tempt us to respond to this in a sinful way. Anger, violence, nastiness, lust, whatever it might be. He's not going to tempt us to that. And He'll make a way through it. He'll show us the light at the end of the tunnel so that we can bear up under what's here and now, what we're facing here and now. So what's the light at the end of the tunnel with coronavirus? Well, I think there's natural and supernatural light that we can look to. The supernatural light is the most important, which is, hey, God's got this. He's in control. We've read the end of the book. We win. Even if you die of coronavirus, you're going to heaven if you're a Christian. So are you going to stand at the pearly gates going, hey, send me back down, please? I mean, really. I didn't get to eat that, 3-cheese pizza I was going to try tomorrow night, and I really need you to send me back so I can get that order and eat it. I don't think so. I don't think anybody's going to get to heaven and want to be sent back, right? That's the, quote, worst case scenario. I spent time with someone yesterday and was there comforting him as he died, as he breathed his last. And I was speaking the gospel into his ear, just encouraging him to trust and put his trust right where it needs to be. And, I was thinking about it at the time that in a weird way, and I've told patients this too. So sometimes I'll say, you know what, I'm kind of jealous in a way, because where you're going to be and what you're going to experience, in a few hours, minutes, whatever it is far beyond my wildest dreams and imagination. So beautiful, so good, so pure, so powerful that you'll never look back. And, that's an astounding thing, isn't it, to us? We value this life so much to think that someone could be in a place where they wouldn't even hardly think about this anymore. But that's pretty much what Scripture tells us. So even that, quote, worst case scenario isn't really a worst case for a Christian, is it? Paul said, I don't know whether to, depart and be with Christ or remain here with you. He was torn at times about what he wanted. Does he want to go to heaven right now, or does he want to stick around, right? So that's something that's a huge light at the end of the tunnel. But then there's the fact that even in this life, if Christ returns while we're still alive, all of us, that is something to look forward to. That is beautiful. That will be powerful. That will change everything, and we may live to see it. And I think in the natural sense, we have a light too. Yesterday there was a huge breakthrough. Although it was amazing to me watching the CBS News at 6. They still found a way to kind of spin it negatively and create fear. It was challenging. You could see they were struggling to make it into something bad. but they found a way to kind of at least put some doubt in there. But they began trials on a new vaccine for corona. 30,000 people now being tested. Um, some get a placebo shot, some get the real deal. This vaccine that helps your immune system basically fight and target corona. And we'll see in a few weeks. There's several others in the queue to be tested. Hey, they find a vaccine that works, this thing's over. Life as we've known it returns. As much as the media and some politicians may not want it to, it will. Because why wouldn't it if we're not afraid? If we figure if we're not going to catch it, we can't get it, right? At that point, at least that would be the hope. And of course, the same would be of a treatment. If we found a treatment that was a 90 to 100% effective, on top of the vaccine, again, life returns to normal. So there's natural light at the end of the tunnel. There's spiritual light. There's even the fact that, of course, God protects us. And sometimes we get exposed, we don't even know it, and He's helped us. Or we get coronavirus, some of us maybe, and we don't even know we have it because He's shielded us, because it's not our time, because He has another purpose. All these things are a way of escape that allows us to bear up under the burden of temptation. Remember, temptation, not just the burden of being under fear to coronavirus, but the temptation to respond to it in a sinful way. And how does that tie in again to adultery? And what would be sinful? Idolatry. And what would be a sinful response? Well, trusting science over God would be a sinful response. Trusting leaders to fix it for us and keep us safe and make the right decisions. And boy, if we just do what Governor Lamont says, we just do what President Trump says, we just do what so-and-so says, Dr. Fauci or whatever, we're going to be fine. Well, we need to have our eyes on a higher authority. That doesn't mean we don't do what they say. Don't mishear me. It means that we don't trust in that as our salvation, as our ultimate solution. That would be idolatry. Another way we could sin in this, if we didn't look to the light, natural and spiritual light, would be we'd get angry. We'd mouth off. We'd do things that are hurtful and fear engendering. I don't like masks. I don't think the masks are as effective as they say. I think it's absurd to wear a mask when you're 100 yards away from people or driving around in your car, medically and otherwise. But if I think someone's afraid, I'm going to put on a mask. Why? Because loving others is more important than my personal comfort. And that's, but a sinful reaction would be, I'm done with this. No mask. I'm going to march right into Walmart. I don't care what I've seen people do this, seen video of people fighting with the store owners, etc., to refusing to wear the mask. That's my freedom. I'm going to do what I want. Well, that's a sinful response to fear, uncertainty, doubt, etc., the circumstance. As a Christian, my response has to be that I see the light. As a result of that light, there's a way out. I can now bear up under it. I can deal with it, because this too shall pass. So there you go. Let's see what comments we got here. Jen says, good morning. Good morning, Jennifer. Jennifer's back at work, but she's still chaplain. Even if she can't go as often to the nursing home as she did, she's still chaplain. And she's also our pastoral care coordinator at Lifeway. And so Jen is our triage, our chaplain and pastoral triage person at Lifeway. When people call, they want a pastoral visit or call, Jen's usually the first one they talk to, so she can sort of figure out what is the need and who do they need to speak with. Some things might go right to Pastor Steve. Some things maybe go to me. Some things it's better off talking to someone else on the team because, they have a certain expertise or whatever it might be. Or it's just not something that rises to the level of, hey, we need a, long time experienced, gray-haired, fat pastor to handle this one. This calls for a chubby, gray-haired pastor. But yeah, no, that's part of what Jen does, and it's great to have her aboard. Marianne, good morning to you. Welcome aboard. And I love Susie's comment here. I can resist anything but temptation. Yeah, I hear you, sister. That's about it. Usually one of the things that helps in all that is to replace it. And that's kind of what Paul's saying, too. in essence, God replaces the fear with something that gives hope, and we start pursuing that, and that allows us to bear up under whatever it is that's causing the temptation or trying to draw us away. Um, you know, and that's true of, I don't know, whatever it is, whatever we're working on, so or struggling with. So I hope that's helpful to you. A lot going on in our world and our news, but a lot of it's just the same old, same old. A new spin on the same struggle. Um, I'll tell you that you could tell these poor announcers last night really didn't want this virus thing, I mean the vaccine, to be happening. It was like, oh darn, there's a vaccine. Oh, what are we going to talk about now? Oh, how are we going to scare the living daylights out of people every day? I don't know. They were quick to point out this could fail, quick to point out that this is just a test, quick to point out that it's going to be months before we know the result, etc. We shouldn't get too excited. We should be cautious. They interviewed some expert, and he made that comment, and of course they bold-faced that. But it is hopeful. It is a light at the end of the tunnel. All right. Jen says, I triage people with too much pizza to me. That's right. I help them clean it out. Although, you can pray for me. Karen and I are changing some things in our diet and exercise, etc., and trying to get a little healthier. We'd like to retire in about 3 years, and so our hope is to be in a place where we can do that and be healthy. So, yeah, we're making some changes. So far, not it's okay. If I come on the air some morning and I'm kind of, you'll know that it's not working so well. But yeah, want to hang around a little bit, so I got to get some health stuff straightened out. So there'll be some pizza for me, but not much. Not as much pizza as is normal. The real tough one for me though these days is ice cream. I love ice cream. And I love caramel swirl, caramel mocha, coffee, caramel nut, whatever, anything like that. And that stuff is just, it's a heart attack in a carton, let's face it. So I'm trying to behave. I live right next to 7-Eleven. Why can't they move that stupid store, right? Make it a little harder for me. I just walk out the door across the side street and bam, there it is. Can they move it a block or two so that, it'd be just too much work for me to get there? I don't know. But we'll have to endure the temptation, and he'll make a way of escape. I hope it's not carrots. I mean, there must be a different way of escape besides carrots, a way to bear up under it. We'll see. Anyway, that wraps things up for today. Appreciate you guys being with us. Jen says she hopes to retire in 3 years as well. I'll race you. Okay, deal. Listen, guys, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think of the new format, new time, etc., this new approach, and we will continue to tweak and develop as we go. We'll see you tomorrow morning, of course, at 8 o'clock. In the meantime, stay in the Word, keep praying, and do not check your brain at the door. Keep on pondering. We'll see you mañana. Bye for now.